Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back for some more EVE Online. Welcome back also to SiSi, the test server for EVE Online, where I'm in the Golem, and you can see it is getting rather busy. 367 people in local. That is a decent amount for a mass test that has yet to start. We should get going pretty soon, and this test will of course be all about the formations that SiSi is adding to the fleets. Now at first I think a lot of players were, let's see, let's just give them a 107. We're also asked to not do too much spamming in fleet and things like that. It's all about the fleet warps to test out these formations. Now there's the new tab here, so you can see the different formations that a fleet commander, I'm gonna assume, can use, but you need skills for those. That's kind of interesting. I read it, I was not sure how it would all work, but you even need like a level 5 skill in order to get the custom formation, you could say, where I think you can have your fleet warp in the same formation that it was before the warp, which potentially can be very powerful. So that's also something that I quickly want to mention before we get going. Let's see, Fleet W will start with the first step, while Fleet X will wait for slightly longer. So, I mean, W, it is subcaps and capitals as well, so Titans, things like that are all in this fleet. The reason I chose this is just to see how it would all behave, to give myself as much time as possible. I was really hesitating. Fleet X will probably have faster warps than we will, but let's see if it all works out. And let's see, is there anything? Yeah, that all looks quite okay. Yeah, what I wanted to say is that at first people were like, man, why the hell are you putting in something like fleet formations? Why are you working on something like that? Just some more eye candy. But I think that has changed substantially now that CCP has basically announced that, yeah, you can actually tweak a lot of the parameters potentially for these fleet warps, including putting someone in a formation like 100 or 200 kilometers ahead of the warping point, which can be extremely powerful in some situations. You can also imagine that bubbles and things like that can become super powerful with these types of formations. And I think that's, yeah, explaining why we've got 380 people. Fleet W, please align the PF gate. Let's do that. Stargate PF align 2. And so, yeah, as I said, I think that this is why we actually have a lot of interest about for this mass test here, because people want to check it out, see how it all works, and if it works. But the potential of it, I think, for nullstick, but also for smaller fleet gangs, roaming gangs, and things like that, could be absolutely mind-blowing, I think. So let's see if we can get started here. Yeah, getting up there, 385. Fleet W is slowly pulling towards the gate, and Fleet X is staying behind a little bit. Quick look at the numbers. Following in warp, we're at 155. They have over 200 people in the fleet. So here we go. First warp. Now this could just be a normal warp. Do I get any information? No. All right. And for now, yeah, there we go. So now we are changing to something. It looks like this is maybe still the pinpoint formation. So what we're used to, as, yeah, we're all coming together, we're forming a Voltron. As you can see, here is the big ball. Ooh, and I am going to hide all brackets at this point so that we can keep going, and then I'm gonna show FPS. There we go. And so here we go. This is now the super ball of metal, as we've always known it, that will land in a single spot. And of course, as we land on a gate with bubbles around it, not sure why that is, why there's an Ares that's maybe annoying us because of that bubble. Let's see who put bubbles in. Yeah, Ares is gone all of a sudden. And so we'll maybe need to do a little bit of a bounce or something like that. But someone just kind of ruined the first Fleet W warp. I'll be honest, I'm not completely against this. It kind of takes a look at, you know, will the fleet formations do anything to bubbles, except we were not in a special formation, but I think it counts as one, like the pinpoint formation or something like that. Please align planet 9. Planet 9. Align 2. So that's probably going to be... am I also going to accelerate like this? Where is the fleet? This is why I put CCP, Trash Mob, Anti-ISD on my watch list, so that we could, you know, rejoin if we make a mistake. And let's see, we have to restart this client. All right, well, this is of course, let's keep that in mind as well. It is a mass test after all. So we're here to test stuff out, and things may go wrong. The more does, the better it is, because then we will have normally plenty of options to get that right before it hits DQ. This is still the test server after all. So please align down to the planet 9. All right. Gonna take maybe a little bit of time for our big ships, and yeah, this is why I've quite often mentioned this during the mass test, that I would personally love to see fleet formations make it into the game, because this does take me out of the immersion at least a little bit. The bigger the ships get, the worse it is. This is now just such a cluster F of metal that just doesn't make a lot of sense, and you know, it's just weird. It feels weird that something like this could happen. It will still be possible, of course, and especially when you go from gate to gate, you want everyone on a single point so that they can take the gate right away. But I think for like bigger fights and things like that, you know, pulling them out would be so cool. It would look so cool. So let's see. Sai, apparently I lost the ability to fly fighters. Let's see, we got more people coming in. Are they all part of the fleet? Yeah, a couple of late joiners, I guess. And that's the disadvantage of being in Fleet W now, because of all of these big ships. This may take a little bit of time. Following Storm Noodle in warp. Let's see what we'll be doing now. At least we get a couple of the big guys warping as well. So am I. Alright. Not exactly sure what's happening here. Fleet X, align planet 3 and follow fleet chat. And look, there we go. So now at least we're landing. Is that like a wall formation or an X formation or something like? It's probably going to be a wall formation. Yes, there we go. Now, it looks a little bit weird because we've got a lot of big ships and then some small ships as well that will take a spot, I think, in basically you can imagine a sort of a rectangular grid that will then expand out. The more ships fill these types of spots. But here we go. Now we've got a nice wall that we have formed on this warp. Align back to PF. Let's do that. PF. There we go. Align 2, and so this is our first fleet warp in formation. I think this will have been the wall formation. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, well, arrange the ships in a vertical square and respect size and spacing configuration made by the commander. If the fleet is too large for the formation, given the selected size and spacing, some ships will take up positions nearby. And so I think that what happens then is that you will have like a second layer and then a third layer, a bit like layers of a cake that will form this. But this makes a lot more sense, right? No clipping of these ships. This is the formation, and of course this is SiSi. We're just, you know, throwing together whatever we want. But you can also imagine if you can have doctrines, full fleets of drakes, the good old drakes coming back in certain formations. That would be very, very cool as well. One thing that I'm not sure, you know, at the moment it's just going to be all pretty random, I think, but it would be cool if the fleet would also know to group certain, or you could like tell the fleet to group certain things together or put them in certain formations, like your logistics, your maybe your interdictors, things like that. But for now, you know, this is definitely a first step. We are slowly aligning as our big ships are turning at a much slower pace. But look at all these Nagelfars here as well. And this is now... Yeah, it's not a beautiful formation, I'm not going to say that, but it's a formation where now you can also see, I think this is pretty cool, where you can see from this angle, you can see all our smaller ships starting to pull ahead of the big capital ships ready to take down maybe some incoming missile fire or some smaller enemies as well. So this is pretty cool. Fleet X is now aligning Planet 4, Fleet W take the warp to PF, so we should get a fleet warp yet again pretty soon, and it could actually be a pretty good test here. I'm gonna assume, since we're going back on a gate probably at 0, that will put us back into a pinpoint formation, which is going to be this one, I guess. Yeah, where all the ships come back together exactly. This is of course what you do want to use when you're going for a gate, because you know, you don't want people landing 10, 20 and more kilometers. I think it's up to like 200 on all sides, that you don't want that to happen on a warp here. Maybe some accidents could happen as well, that could have some pretty cool PvP consequences. Fleet W jump on contact, so let's get in through the gates. There's well, quite, yeah, 3 Titans, pretty cool. Here we are. We just took our own little tunnel. We're heading out before all of the big guys. That still looks pretty cool. We have made it. A little bit of tie-dye on this one. Local going up to 77. It was the point formation. That is how it works right now on TQ. Yeah, so the ball is the point. Basically get everyone as close as possible to a single point in a space. Align Planet 5, align 2. There we go. And Storm Noodle is like doing both fleet chat and mass testing chat. Yeah, we were asked, you know, a couple more extra windows open. This is EVE Online after all. We were asked to also keep an eye in fleet chat as well. But so far it's going quite well. And so here we go. We're in a circle around the gate as always. And then we should pretty soon maybe try another formation. This could be cool, a plane formation. Then you also have the sphere formation, where I'm gonna guess size configuration. Yeah, the commander can then decide how big do you want the sphere to be. You can imagine this, I think, will have a lot of use if you then also have a lot of like interdictors, right? Put a nice big sphere formation that's spaced just enough so that your bubbles basically cover all space in between them, and you could have a super big mobile bubble that is going to catch entire enemy fleets that still, you know, are grouped up in a pinpoint formation or something like that. Could become a deadly trap. I can see the potential in this stuff. So and I think a lot of players in nullsec and things like that will as well, and lowsec everywhere in fact, for players that warp and fly in fleets a lot. So off we go. Let's see what we have chosen this time. If we get a change to our pattern. Lots of the big ships are on the outside. We are forming something, and it doesn't look like we're all coming together. It could be the plane formation this time, and so far, to me, this feels like, yeah, it's working. No, it's gonna be the arrow formation, and I'm at the back. But with my own spot, getting very close to that fact. But look at that, the spacing is enough. I'm not seeing ships clipping here, except for one Nagelfar down here. who's clipped inside the Titan. So we may have to go a little bit bigger just for that. This may be already its maximum size. Titans are always going to be a little bit special, I think. But here we go. We actually have an arrow formation that is, all right, definitely not in a straight line on the horizon, I'm gonna call it. So it's got a slight offset from left to right and then up. But maybe that's also something that you can set. I don't know, of course. I don't even have the skills trained for any of this stuff. Didn't get fleet warp. Couple people missed fleet warp. Not sure. Please align planet 11. Planet 11 align 2. Let's do that. So for me, so far, it's been pretty good. So I should be able to align and pull away from that colorful fax quite nicely. Oh man, that's actually almost looks like the old cartoons from Transformers with all these lights as well. It's pretty cool. We are aligning. So yeah, if you missed here, of course, either follow the steps and join us at Planet 5, or get ahead of us and go to yeah, meet the fleet at Planet 11, of course, which is where we'll be heading next. But so far, third formation if you count the pinpoint formation, the point formation, and it's still working. I'm not spotting any real problems, and as long as you listen to the FC, you should be okay. Maybe they'll have to look into that, right? People not taking or grabbing the fleet warp, maybe because of the system, but I've been able to follow all of these, so that is fine. And then again, now we've got a couple of smaller ships pulling ahead all across the fleet, in fact. And then our big guys, except for those that just landed, are also pretty much aligning. No shooting. All right. And I think this tactically will be very interesting to see how players will use this. I can imagine that for battleships, for instance, you may want to use a more spread out formation, especially if you have like a missile fleet that can hit at almost any range, just to try and make yourself less susceptible to bombing runs and things like that. As I've said, interdictors, having a fleet formation, get ahead of a target and then just surround it with bubbles, that can be pretty interesting as well. I'm not sure how carriers and things like that will behave, but the freedom here, super cool. And of course, yeah, kudos to CCP. This is the sandbox. This gives fleet commanders all of these options. They can tinker with that, and it's another one of those features where I saw a little bit of a live stream that I missed, where they explained it a little bit. This is another feature that, well, when it will be in the hands of the players, CCP also doesn't know exactly how it will be used, and how it may even be abused to actual results of these fleet formations. That'll be up to us to discover what potentially they can do. So here we go, another fleet transition happening, taking the warp to planet 11, and this time let's see what we're doing. We are getting together very close, a lot, yeah. So this is, to me, looking like another arrow formation, but with a different spacing, unless it's, let's see, maintains the positions of ships in fleet when the warp was initiated, relative to the commander initiated warp, range of 200. Yeah, so it's not this. We definitely changed formation. I think this is an arrow formation, but a narrower amount of space between the ships. So now you'll have a little bit more clipping on the big ships, but we also take positions closer to one another. So that's cool. It's a system that'll automatically, of course, calculate what it means, and through experience, I'm pretty sure that players will be able to. This was a V-shape formation, most likely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that FCs will learn that. All right, this type of ship, that type of formation, that type of distance, those settings, that'll be that exact result, and it'll be very cool to see what they do with it. Planet 8, align 2, don't take warps now. Titans were not aligned perfectly in the V, but it all looked good for my... Yeah, exactly. This one felt like it was basically horizontally aligned correctly. Again, something I don't know. Perhaps you can do that. You can set one side to go higher than the other. I'm not sure how much freedom you have, but I think it's a lot. So we are turning around slowly for more aligning, while Fleet X is doing their maneuvers as well. And someone said my warp drive couldn't lock onto the target. And can't inject a skill to train it. Okay, not sure here. So far for me, I mean, I did inject the skills, so it's fleet coordination and fleet formations, but you don't need it in order to participate in this. It's the fleet commander, of course, that has to do that. And so now here we get two golems flying very close to one another. Just won't do it even though I have the skill. Is he like trying to warp his own wing or so? Not sure what's happening here, but we should be aligning 8. That's 8, right? Just making sure. Or broadcast history. Is that here? Align PF8. Yeah, there we go. So we get some broadcasts as well. But yeah, let's keep the formation panel on here, and maybe we can take a look at what some of the other formations look like. And so now we are aligning. I can understand that it's frustrating when you're not here, but you should really put all that stuff in mass questions. But alright, I think we can still follow. We're still aligning. Titans are still slowly turning around. And then all the Nagelfars are here. So we're much closer together, but this is a fleet, right? You can also imagine if you have several fleets. I mean, we're talking thousands of people in a single battle. It's gonna look epic. I can't wait for some of the footage that's going to come out from that. Fleet W, take the warp. Let's see. So they're still going on there. Following ISD Storm Noodle in warp. So that still seems to be working just fine. All you have to do is just align and then let the FC give the order. And there we go. Fleet W on its way again. So this one Nagelfar here is way out, but let's see how it behaves depending on the chosen formation. Gonna look at it from... So we're definitely, I think, spreading out a lot more on this one. I'm gonna assume that the range has been increased a lot, because this one is just slowly now starting to move towards us. And okay, we're breaking off into 2 parts now. I'm not sure what that's all about. Some sort, I think a wall, but honestly, I mean, this is testing. It would have been cool if they told us which formations they're using, but let's see how we land. Maybe we can just like catch up to these guys, and that the cube will like flatten, and that we will create a wall. Oh no, it was pre-responding, I think, to the bubble, which may be part of the test, of course. Yeah, that's... Oh man, this does... kind of interesting. It sort of makes it predictable, and you now know, alright, a part of my fleet is gonna get trapped in a bubble because they've been pulled out of the formation. That is cool. So it was a wall. This was meant to be the center line for the wall, and then these guys were caught by the bubble. Very cool. Very, very interesting. Realign planet 11. Let's do that. So super cool. This is all intentionally, I think, at this point being tested to see how do you hide the HUD. Control F9 if anyone doesn't also wants to know. There we go. A couple guys pretty quick on the trigger, but that's cool. That's very cool. So if you're seeing us form a formation and then you're watching a part of your fleet break formation while in warp, heading somewhere apparently different, that's a clear sign you're going to land in a bubble. I'm not sure if that's an intended consequence of this, but it's definitely something that'll warn you beforehand. Hey, a part of our guys, and you know, in fact, exactly which ones will end up in that bubble. Cool. So, fleet W still doing things. Yeah, we're in the slow fleet. Maybe I should have taken X. Could have been interesting to see a couple more, but I'm sure it's fine. It's nice to see how it behaves in what I'm going to call probably the most complex fleet. We'll have everything from small frigates up to Titans. So I'm sure that it's interesting to see exactly how all of this works. And so you can see that's exactly what's happening here. So we get a couple small cruisers that are pulling ahead of the fleet on the align. And I thought I'd seen a Kikimora and things like that here as well. But then we all come back into formation normally on the warps. Here we go. And now I'm here on the right side, right next to yet another Golem without a skin. Let's see what happens here. So we're in an offset wall or something. And maybe we just grab the same formation. Let's see how these guys then react to that. So far, we're just not moving. I think we're still right next to each other. Man, that's some fancy flying. This close to one another. But honestly, I'm really taking far less out of the immersion here, and I'm seeing this type of a warp rather than that point formation itself. So to me, this is pretty dang cool. It's a long warp. We're still warping. I think that'll be the barren planet. Oh, that could be this one, of course. Yeah, that's probably going to be the relative formation right here, since we haven't moved a single inch. Look at that, how steady our two golems were right next to each other. That's going to be this one, relative formation. At first I thought, ooh, are we looking at a bug? Did something go wrong after being pulled out of formation with the bubble? But no, this is of course the relative formation. Which does mean that you can basically have a fleet and prepare it for a fight where you can have like your battleships or your main combat fleet in front, and then at the distance of your choosing, you can have all of your lodges prepare so that they're perhaps immediately on their orbit or something like that, and then they can just warp in that formation, and that's how everyone will land. That is really cool, and probably potentially the most powerful of these. Please align the Orvol gates. Align to. All right, let's do that. Fleet X. You know what? Fleet X is not doing that much more warping than we are, from what I'm seeing in the mass testing channel. Anyways, please align Orvol. Please do not jump. Yeah, no problem. I'm actually going to try to move away a little bit. Let's see if I can pull ahead with one burst of the Afterburner will not do much, but let's see. It's a small battleship core here in the middle of all of that huge ball. Well, ball not anymore. This huge fleet of big ships. Very cool. This is so cool. We're actually flying in space, and although the Golem is a pretty amazing battleship, it's still a small one in this fleet. So Fleet X is aligning to PF. Let's see here. This is another bubble test, right? Got it. Yeah, exactly. That's what they're doing. They're also testing the bubbles. Let's see if they choose a different formation, and if we get that same predictive behavior, you could say, where we'll notice a formation and then we'll notice part of the formation being pulled out of it. Let's see what happens. Or if it's the pinpoint formation. I'm actually gonna drink a little bit while we wait. And then I hope that CCP is like looking at the metrics for you know, people that didn't take a fleet warp when it was initiated. Take the warp to our vol and do not jump. So it's in mass testing. Wall into bubble coming up. Ah, that's what I like. Thank you, CCP signal. That's exactly what I wanted to know. What formation are we trying, and so that we can see what do we expect and what happens. So wall into bubble, fleet W, take the warp to our vol, do not jump. So we're in warp. We should start to form our formation, and there it is. So we are forming up. And let's see here. We're really not... Oh, there we go. So now we get a big move up. And we can see these guys, which is the lower part, not even the entire lower lefts, I think. Yeah, but not even everything. This guy is information, this guy is information. But these guys should get caught in a bubble, which is going to be right here for the fleet. And so here we get our nice wall. And this time we actually managed to get past the bubble as well. But again, a predictable part of our fleet. We land on the gate, they stay ahead of the gate, and we pass just over. That's so cool, look at that. We pass just over the bubble, and you could indeed predict where the bubble was just by watching our fleet warp. That's cool. That is very, very cool. Thank you, Sargon Dien, I think, in the Executioner, and or is it the... yeah, probably the Executioner. That's doing all the work here. Bubble's already gone. Now you know about bubble before landing. Yeah, exactly. That is, well, if you're using anything else than the point formation, I'm sure if everyone is in the bubble, it's just going to behave and look like a regular warp. But you know, on a big battlefield with bubbles and things like that, fleet commander will be able to see, oh god damn it, I'm warping, there's a bubble, I'm gonna lose part of the fleet, and then have to make the choice. Let's see, align the sun. So that should be towards where is it? There it is. Align, where we'll have the fights. But that's cool, and that's very, I would say, very successful here so far. Pretty nice warp. This way only half your fleet will be... No, very, very nice. Good wall, you know, here, that makes sense, and you're offset a little bit once there's too many ships. It may even be that it'll start making layers, so you've got the central, basically the very midpoint of any formation will be your fleet commander, I'm going to assume, or it could be a random ship within the formation, and then depending, like the wall formation is going to be like a wall, a straight not cube but square, right? Two-dimensional square right across that, but then you know, if you've got more ships, there's going to be one in front, one behind, and again and again and again, depending on how many ships you have in fleet. I think that looks to me like what it's working at, and then it just, you know, puts the ships on all of those grids and tries to keep them, unless of course a bubble's in the way. Fleet X is coming to PF. We've been warping solo here, 127 in local, 178 in fleet. So we haven't done simultaneous fleet warps. You know, having multiple fleets warp through the system in formations. I'm not sure how much harder this is for the servers, but I'm pretty sure that CCP is like, you know, watching all of the metrics that are available here. To me, it seems kind of promising. Fleet W is going to warp to the sun. Let's see what kind of formation has been chosen. I would honestly love to see like the plane formation, and then they just came in, but I don't know from where. Probably from FD. I'm gonna assume that they were still in FD, so we're gonna try and watch that gate when they come in to see if we can spot a warping information. What are we taking? What formation is Fleet W taking for this fight? Set up camp for Fleet X. Let's see what we are doing. Looks like maybe a ball formation, sphere formation. Yeah, that's definitely a sphere formation. So it's like a point formation, except, you know, at a much bigger radius. And this again, I mean, this is what a fleet warp looks like, going to the sun. We've got our Naglfar set across the whole fleet. Our Titans are spread out as well, and then in between that we've got smaller support ships. Look at that, coming in on the sun. Very, very cool. Everybody should be in BF now. We've got one latecomer. Is he still in the... Looks to me like he's still in the formation. So is that one. Not sure why some... There's a couple people lagging behind, but to me it looks like they're still in the formation. But, you know, I come out of warp and they're arriving as well. So that looks pretty good. So we are the big ball, and FD, let's see where it's at. Over there somewhere. We may see, if I'm correct on that, see the enemy coming from here. Otherwise it's Orvol which is behind us. I hope it's FD. FD is now up to 360, 170. They've got around 200, but we get the Titans, we get the big ships. So that ought to be interesting. And yeah, Fleet W ball formation is up and running. Maybe probe scanners are here. Fleet X is aligning the sun. I hope it's from here. I definitely hope it's from here. See how they land. Should I start moving? Maybe I will. Or no, we'll hold formation. I'm going to specifically. Oh, I'm actually very close to the tip of the spear here, so I'm expressly going to hold formation, so that we give them a formation view as well, so that they have to go up against the big ball of Fleet W. Fleet X is still aligning. How many big ships do they have then, if it takes that long for them to align? Get some fireworks going. We're ready to receive them. I may activate my repping. Probes are gone. Cap, yeah, that'll hold for a little bit. Let's see if they get a warp order. Oh, we could wait for the warp order, of course. So far, most players in the fleet are holding nicely, waiting with bated breath. And then, yeah, that trailer with the MR fleet coming in the formation. That's sort of the dream. $370, we should be good to go. A bubble. I'm not going to intervene. Oh, there we go. Oh, there they come. And didn't really spot it, but this is their wall formation landing in front of us. Yeah, that's definitely a wall formation hitting our left flank, you could say. And then the bubbles here, maybe to keep us here, I'm not sure. And did I miss any instructions or something like that? Because players are already firing. I'm going to wait patiently and see what happens before I do anything. I don't want to, blow someone up when there's maybe still other parts for the tests. More bubbles going up. And so here, this sub-cap fleet has our capital fleet trapped now. But look at how many bubbles they have to put up, of course, to trap all of us on that point formation, right? One bubble would all be in there. So there we go. What else do we have? Get a couple of transport ships coming in. The enemy formation is definitely being destroyed. Cannot lock anything. Fleet X still at a line to the sun, so not really sure. You can't Lock targets. No locks. I'm gonna try that just to see. I can lock the Praxis. Or am I wrong on that? Yeah, I just locked the... Let's get her fight. So we just got the command to fight. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's fire. And let's see what kind of damage I can do on a Praxis. At 11 kilometers, that's a big shot. I'm just going to sit here, honestly. We're just going to sit here. If I'm blown up, that is absolutely fine. His shields are going down pretty quickly, while he's firing at me as well. So Praxis duking it out against the Golem. And then we could test the Vixor to see if we can hit something like that. Whipped, scrammed, everything. Yeah, tip of the spear. I do tend to be looked at a little bit. Let's see if I can, like, you know, send some of my stuff. Oh, it's number 2 for my missiles here. And do a little bit of extra damage. Try to hit that Vixor. Let's see what that does. Gonna actually try and take a look at him. That Prax is getting reps. He's still sitting still, so his armor is gone. And then let's take a look at that. Thank you all for joining. Fight, have fun. There he goes. And let's see if we can take on the Lashak. And a Hyperion is firing at me as well. You bastards. Ooh, that's capital advantage, of course. That is quite deadly. I'm still in this. Let's fire at the Hyperion next. See what we can do. Alright. Blop. So that's on the shields. You attack me while I'm in Bastion mode. Well, he's right pretty close to me. And look at all the drones on my ship as well. This is pretty cool. We're holding 40-ish, 30 to 40 FPS. Pretty happy with that. Very good hits on that Hyperion, taking a lot of damage here. Well, I'm so far doing okay. So let's keep going and let's look for, let's see what the Varger does. Oh man, that one's just been eaten alive. Not sure if it was just me, but it was definitely pretty good. And I lost first set of drones on this, while the Hyperion slowly explodes. There we go. His generator must have been down. Praxis is next. His shields aren't holding anymore. We have help from the Nagelfars, so they've been blasting at that as well. Let's see here. Tengu probably not too good, but let's try hitting that Nestor next. And yeah, this time Fleet W obviously having a big advantage, considering we have all of the capitals and they have none. So that still makes a very big difference, of course. And yeah, that's their wall. It's being completely demolished by our ball. Is that friendly fire? I'm not sure, but let's keep going after the Nestor for now. Send any bug reports, feedback. Honestly, it looked really good. Let's see if we can do some damage on that Tengu, just for funsies. Maybe that it's gonna be too... Ooh, and then a healer? If he's not moving too fast. Let's see what the Tengu here thinks about my missiles or my torpedoes. He's definitely repping. And so there he is, being hit by my drone. This does look beautiful. And yeah, not one big ball here, but you get a fleet, right? Our fleet in its signature, what's it called here? Sphere formation, with much bigger, far bigger ships than the enemy, is taking him down very quickly. Blop, there goes that Tengu. Let's launch some stuff at the Gila as well. And of course, yeah, this was not fair, I have to say. So thank you very much, Fleet X, for bringing the fight to us. It was definitely doomed pretty much beforehand. Let's try to save a little bit of cap. Let's see, what's my range with this stuff? 46 kilometers. Get a Stormbringer all the way out there. Let's see what that would look like. So he's all the way out here. And his shields, and I think I'm like at the front of the fleet somewhere. Let's see if my torpedoes can still get there. 45 should still be just in range. Taking a long time. Taking some shield hits. He's firing his Vorton projector. And now he's out of range at 45. God damn it. He managed to fly just out of range for us. We still have like a Nighthawk here. It looks like it's a little bit bigger. There's the Tsar masts. Brave Fleet X. Probably not hitting that well. So maybe we should try the Nighthawk next. Who is here also bravely flying to right in front of the sphere. I think honestly that this does have a lot of potential, and for like not the absolutely humongous, well actually with the humongous fights, right, it then tends to be not ships in this type of visual fidelity, you could say, but it's usually then just the with the hut and everything on. You should see all of these formations as well, but I think for like smaller fleet fights, this could look absolutely amazing. This feel to me is already, you know, this is of course also what you get a little bit after you jump through a gate, but this feels very cool. This is beautiful to have this type of a scenery here, thanks to the formations with ships not all balled up in a single spot. It feels a lot more real, I'm going to say. Super nice for immersion and full of potential, I think, for the FCs that want to master this system. So yeah, there we go. As this master test should be over at this point, I would say pretty successful. I liked it, and it's all been working. Hope you guys enjoyed this as well. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.